No, wait, hold up. Ayo, Primo, bring that beat right back real quick. Yo, in commemoration of what is now officially Joe Biden season.
Joe Budden.
That is your president now.
Yeah.
Feel it, read it, and weep. America, we've endured so much.
Oh,
Revolutionary War, the Civil War, 2 world wars, and a bunch of other wars we had no business being in. But, the raping and pillaging sounded a little fun.
Yeah.
We endured George W., 9/11, the Trump administration, an insurrection by a bunch of rabid Trump zombies.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've gotten through a highly anticipated, highly tense, highly secured inauguration day, leading us into tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, the Participation Trophy Podcast, episode number 18. I just had to extend that intro party. We got glad to be back on here. Jamal, Zane,
Yes.
Neil, Joe Glow from afar, myself, Abdullah. Guys, we got a bountiful agenda for the listeners tonight. Let's go ahead and start with the events of today. Jamal, last week you and I talked about it. Inauguration day, typically boring. The transfer of power, watching the outgoing president, incoming president go through the motions, traditions, rituals, the inauguration speech. Obviously, this year, the subplot was a little more dramatic. The spoiled brat, former President Trump.
Just a Florida resident now. Just a Florida private citizen.
Ran off to his resort early this morning.
He gone.
But not before winging a shitty speech about himself. And then he was gone. Take it away.
Man, so I watched the send-off this morning, and I was nervous around, I think I lost the nervousness probably a few weeks ago, because I knew at that point he had no kind of legal options left to thwart what should be, again, we talked about it, just a straightforward process. But I wanted to, it's kind of like watching a guest officially leave your house. Like, I want to see the person off for the final time. So I got up early as fuck and I watched, the helicopter land on the South Lawn and pick him up. I just wanted to make sure, I just wanted to kind of usher him out, just make sure everything. I put on Facebook, like I watched like the shuttle launch. Like, I just wanted to see every piece of that process finally like close out. So
you wanted to make sure he was going to pull out an AR-15 on the helicopter, just to start aimlessly just shooting.
But this is a mental trauma, right, that we've dealt with for so long.
I know.
The unpredictability of the president and just fucking not knowing what to expect at any given moment. And the fact that I think when his aide said he didn't have anything, he had no speech prepared. He had no script for this Andrew send-off. And I was like, oh, fuck, it could get bad, right? So, the bad car accident type of curiosity, like I'm going to tune in just because I think something crazy is going to happen. But lo and behold, I don't want to get
it was too cold. It might have been too cold.
Yeah, well, that too. And look, I don't want to give Trump credit for acting like a normal human being, but, he gave a very succinct, kind of short, 1 page of a Cheesecake Factory menu of his lies. And he didn't drag it out for 3 hours. He didn't, when Trump started leaning on the podium, like that's when he gets in his bag, like he's just, fucking going like Rodney Dangerfield style.
What's funny? What's funny? I don't mean to cut you off. I was reading an article today about how his farewell speech was semi-normal, and it's because he hasn't been on Twitter.
Yes.
So it's like conceptually, obviously this is not true, but like imagine if Twitter didn't exist, like let's say that stopped Trump from being a great person. Like, it's like in Seinfeld when George stopped having sex and he had like superpowers. This is exactly what I thought of, like some crazy world where he makes great decisions because he's not addicted to social media or something.
Yeah. Yeah. He wanted to be slightly normal up until, at the last minute. I think it's very telling that his kind of top GOP cronies didn't bother showing up. So McConnell wasn't there. Kevin McCarthy didn't show up. It was
Mike
really
Pence didn't show up.
I think Mark Meadows was the only guy. He's the only guy that stuck with him.
Yeah.
Chris Christie was actually at Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
Right.
So Neil, this is your first inauguration day.
Since you've been born.
Yeah.
Did you watch?
Yeah, so I watched because obviously, like Jamal said, who the hell knows what's going to happen these days, unfortunately. So I kept it on in the background all day, while, work from home life. So I thought, inauguration itself, I like Biden's speech a lot. I think he reiterated a lot of the stuff that he's already said before, but, that's all you can ask for at this point right now. Amanda Gorman, crazy great poem, very articulate,
So
very like about what just happened literally 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Quick question. Did you get anybody look up how old she is? Amanda
22.
Gorman?
No, 22.
Bro, I
Okay.
thought she was 14 tops. I said,
I read about her immediately, and I read she was a Harvard student. I think she's still going there.
Wow.
I think
But I was
2020
gonna ask,
graduate.
nobody knew about Amanda Gorman before today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like 12.
Yeah, she looked really young. But when you heard her speak, I didn't think she was 14 when I heard her speak.
but I mean, others. Well, she's like a poet, like prodigy. But I had no idea she's in her early 20s. Like that really threw me off.
Yeah.
But she killed. I mean, that was just excellent.
I think.
I mean, how
go ahead.
refreshing is it just to see? I mean, in the general sense,
Yeah.
a cross section of what America, frankly, really looks like. We've had a very, homogeneous last 4 years in presidency and every event surrounding it. So to see people from all different backgrounds, to see a Black female vice president swear in a Black man and a Hispanic man, and just it's just so refreshing. And look, we always want our legislature to look like what the racial composition of what our country is, because
Exactly.
let's be honest, we can't have monolithic views driving the presidency and creating policies for America. We need different viewpoints, and the fact that Sonia Sotomayor swore in Kamala Harris, I thought was great, and seeing Barack Obama again and Michelle still in the show and all that, like it warms my heart to once again see representation like I think it should be.
I mean, I think I read somewhere that this was probably the most diverse cabinet
Easily, yeah,
in presidential history. So
yeah,
I agree. I think today we didn't know what to expect, and we were prepared for the worst after what we saw a few weeks ago, and with DC literally turning into a fortress with barbed wire and 10-foot fences and 25,000 troops, National Guard. I thought it relatively went as normal as it could have. Trump not being there was off mentioned, because it was the first time in 150 years that a president, an outgoing president, didn't see the incoming president, into office. Yeah. So, but even with that, I think they covered that up pretty well. I think everybody was just relieved that we, like you mentioned, we're returning back to just basic civility. And, we know politicians bullshit, they lie, they put on a face, but just the mere display of civility on the surface, even when even if it wasn't real, was something that we took for granted anyways. Yeah. And just seeing, Pence being there, I thought even after 4 years of all that shit, and sticking by Trump nearly to the bitter end, being there helped a lot, but like some of the other Republicans, like you mentioned, McCarthy and McConnell, all those guys kind of just detached themselves before they knew, shit was gonna fuck up their lives, in the long run. So I think it went as normal as it could have. Lady Gaga killed it. J-Lo killed it.
Amazing, yeah.
J-Lo screaming in Spanish.
So I don't know about your timeline,
probably
but J-Lo
tased themselves in the dick when they heard that shit. Like
J-Lo got dragged on my timeline. She got dragged pretty bad. I didn't have an issue with her, but look, we know J-Lo's not a singer; she's a performer, right? Yeah. So I didn't expect her to come out with the pipes. I just, I mean, she did what she did. She did a little melody. She threw, like you said, the ad-libs in the middle. She dropped her own flex bombs in the middle of the medley, but she was decent. I wasn't mad at it.
With our resident meme expert Jamal, there was a ton of meme content that was pretty good that came out. I think one of the best ones I saw was a tweet, and it was like J-Lo in her 50s, and it was like obviously a stunning picture of J-Lo from today, and then it was like me in my 20s, and it was the Bernie Sanders sitting with his mittens on.
No shit. That Bernie picture was epic.
That Bernie picture is fantastic.
Was that
really best meme days in fucking recent history? Just content dropping from everywhere.
The way he was sitting, just kind of isolated in the middle of everybody, it just looked like he had one of those fold-out chairs that were like he got pulled from the
Some
back.
shit I have like my son's soccer games.
There was
and
none
shit.
left. He asked one of the ushers, "Yo, could you find me an extra chair, man? Just sitting right there."
Pull that shit from a conference room. He like wheeled it up.
The picture of him looking through his phone, just
Yeah.
peering through his phone, that caught a lot of wave. A lot of people were kind of siding that picture with some random picture of something on the internet.
Yeah.
A certain website buffering at 30%.
Yeah, Pornhub buffering at 30%. That was my contribution. But yeah, man, it's finally over. We don't know what's to come with Trump from here on out. He's made several cryptic comments about it just being the beginning. Murmur about him aiming to take over the Republican Party or some other underground cult shit he has planned. No bullshit, man.
Yeah, he's got a legal gauntlet to work through first.
Just go home, man. Just stay home. Who the fuck knows? But
so I got two quick thoughts before we move on.
Go ahead, please.
One is we have to touch on the pardons. Trump dumped a whole bunch of pardons last minute, and there was even a last minute one right up until he flew back this morning. He pardoned Janine Perrow's ex-husband or something like that. But one of the big pardons that I was expecting, because again I'm addicted to right-wing media, was Steve Bannon, who
I'm addicted to right-wing media.
Bannon, helped Trump get
self-flagellation shit.
He helped Trump get elected. He's the one that really pushed this, populist nationalist.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Trump bounced him out of the White House, and they weren't on good terms. And then he sucked up to Trump around the time of the impeachment, and his podcast is all pro-Trump all the time. So I'm hearing that the pardon of Bannon was strategically meant for ushering back in this MAGA movement once some of the smoke clears. So that's just something to keep your eye on. The other thing is with Trump now effectively gone, and when I say gone, I mean him not being on Twitter or any fucking platform. It's just, it's incredible how much of a silence of bullshit there is over Twitter. You just don't see that stuff anymore. They've been neutered, right?
Refreshing.
Gone, and we have an impeachment trial that's starting, I think, before the end of the week or Monday at the latest. What will GOP senators who were frankly fucking afraid of this guy, what are they going to do now that he's no longer in the picture? McConnell's been not so shy about saying Trump caused all this bullshit, a couple weeks ago. I mean, we could see a different side of I don't bank on it, but we could see a different side of GOP senators now that Trump's got out of the picture.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's a great point you made, because a lot of those same Republicans, one of the reasons why they were latched on to Trump was because they felt that was the key to them winning their constituents. If you were with Trump, you were probably going to be granted, an election.
So money as well, the money backing.
Right. Some Republicans exactly. Some of those Republicans that backfired on them, they detached themselves. That was their own intuition. That's fine. But a lot of those Republicans didn't, because of the fact that they felt that it was going to help catapult them to an election. So that's a good point you made, because now that Trump's gone and he doesn't have that leverage on the party anymore, do they feel that there's any benefit or any need to feel like they need to still side with this guy during impeachment?
Or are they going to move the goalpost for the 17th billionth time in the past 4 years?
That's honestly the more likely outcome, but I can tell McConnell, clearly he's not running for re-election. McConnell's pushing 80. I think he's like, look, I'm getting right back to the middle as a moderate Republican like I've always wanted to be. And, the fucking tyrant is gone. So I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, no bullshit. Well, who the fuck knows? Like we said, for now, we'll go ahead and write him off. And as a parting gesture to our listeners, we're going to go ahead and share some of our favorite Trump moments. A few Twitter threads were generated off of this, where everybody was going back down memory lane and just throwing out the weirdest and dumbest shit that Trump did over the past 4 years. So we're going to go ahead and drop some of our favorite moments. I'll start, man. The Halloween candy on that little kid's head.
Which I forgot about until my son reminded me.
And listen, this motherfucker, that the candy bar falls on top of the kid's costume and then slides right off, and then neither him or his wife, even make an attempt to try to pick it up. Even a 7-year-old child like Trump was able to con out of some fucking Halloween candy.
Right. It was like a bar, like a chocolate bar, right?
It was like a chocolate bar. Yeah. It was probably a Mr. Good bar. No, it was on the Mr. Good bar, because that's a yellow package. But
I think it was like
probably a Hershey. So yeah. So number 2, the McCain comment. I don't like people, or I like people who don't get caught. And there's something special about that. Not positively special, but interesting in the fact that his cult, who many of them previously recognized McCain as a true American hero.
Yeah.
But they were so immersed in Donald Trump's asshole that they rode along with it. And suddenly McCain is being tossed around and ragged on in every conservative sphere as a bitch, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's astonishing the way they actually chose to latch on to Trump, even at one of his lowest moments, calling John McCain basically a bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then lastly, just his general inability to articulate common English words. I'm going to play a few of these. Like, oh, we still got this up.
He's a drummer.
I don't even know where it's playing from, but
it's so fine. You'll dub it over. Keep moving.
Yeah, I'll dub it over. So,
all right.
Hydrochlorine. He probably pronounced coronavirus about 18 different times.
Yeah.
The Chinese flu.
The Chinese flu. Just different terms, different words for different shit.
Buzzwords.
These gaslighting words that he knew that his base was just gonna just jump on and
for sure.
So those are my three, but we'll go ahead and pass it on.
All right, I'll do my three real quick. Number three, Trump getting booed at the Nationals game. So this was kind of the beginning of the end of his campaign. I think this is before. I don't know if it's before or after the debates, but he just, look, man, you're in the well of, even though you're in DC, it's still a major city, and people just don't fuck with you in what you like to affectionately call liberal cities that are run by shitty Democrats. So I mean, he got exactly the energy that he put out, right? He had
the banners and everything.
Destroyed, man. Destroyed. His face was so tight, you could tell he just couldn't accept the fact that people didn't love him.
That was so long ago. That was what you said. It was right after his election, right?
No, that was
before the election,
definitely before the election. It was people at the baseball game, so that must have been 2019.
Pre-COVID times.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Number two, shooting paper towel rolls into a crowd of hurricane victims in Puerto Rico, like a fucking free throw, dude. I mean, at that point, we knew Trump was a dickhead, but I said, God damn, dude, like, you can be no less, no more tone deaf than that. So that's my number two.
Neil, how was his follow through on that though?
I don't know. Looked like some Shaquille O'Neal at the free throw line.
Number one, it's also sports related, but I will never, ever, ever fucking forget this, is when he served the Clemson championship football team a spread of fucking McDonald's in the White House.
Cold McDonald's.
Sitting there for hours.
And gave a pitch like he made the shit. Like, these guys, I know these guys are big eaters and this and that. And I'm like, I mean, talk about classless. Like, it's just.
I remember Christian Wilkins. You can eat that cold bread. That's probably what Christian Wilkins said, offensive lineman for the Clemson Tigers at the time. Now Miami Dolphin, of course. He had about 4 fish fillets and like 2 Big Macs stacked up on his.
Super pissed.
Oh my God!
That's how Trump eats, though. So
that's how he eats. Yeah,
that's how he eats.
I still can't get over the picture, literally, of Trevor Lawrence with a nice Washington or White House dinner plate, and then just a McDonald's cardboard fold over on top of it.
Bro.
That contrast was hilarious too. That the White House dinner plates, she's probably made out of platinum and shit. You got fucking McDonald's cardboard boxes on there. Zane, what you got, man?
Not much. I'm kind of winging it. The John McCain one is, I know I'm not trying to steal your thunder here, but that one was really pissed me off. McCain has always been, I've never really cared about Democrat or Republican, but John McCain was just a good guy, through and through. He's just always been a respectable person. He's never, I know he went up against Obama, and he never really said anything disparaging about, Obama. All their
he defended Obama.
Yeah, he defended Obama too.
Yeah, I mean, we all
racist
remember that
old
moment.
ladies.
Quick aside on that. Like I remember the town hall John McCain had, and some white Karen old lady
Yeah.
was
That's what
trying
I'm
to
talking
like
about. Yeah,
go
that's what
at
he
go at Obama,
Muslim.
and McCain
He's
was
an
like, no,
Arab. He's an Arab.
sorry, we're moving on.
Yeah,
We're not gonna have
exactly.
that. I was like, stand up guy.
Yeah, he was like
And-
different on policy, but
Yeah.
he's not all the bad things you're saying about him.
Right.
So I've always just hated that. Like, and like you said, everyone just fucking went along with it. And that was the moment I was like, he's shitting on a Republican, and all these quote unquote Republicans are going with it. They're like, yeah, we don't like John McCain. Fuck him. Like out of nowhere. Right?
Yeah.
It's
It was
just
so-
like,
I
so
remember.
bullshit.
I remember the night that John McCain died, and we were at a carnival in Leesburg or some shit, and it popped up on my phone that he had passed,
yeah.
and so I read it out loud to either Miriam or my sister or somebody who was around me, and this fucking hick who overheard me, he looks up and he goes, "Good fucking riddance."
Like, I
Oh,
don't
God.
understand.
Like,
I
really,
don't
dude?
fucking
Like,
get it.
But
First-
it's the cult mentality. Trump
It's the
never
cult
got over
mentality.
McCain
That's it.
not voting to dismantle Obamacare because
Yeah.
he's a fucking human being, and Trump
Right.
just never got over that shit. Never.
Another great McCain moment, dude.
That
Great
thumbs down
McCain
was
moment.
good.
Thumbs down was fucking the maverick.
He held it out and shit.
He's
With the,
like,
hit him with the Joaquin Phoenix and Gladiator shit.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
number 2, I want to say Charlottesville. Very fucking
Yeah,
people
of
on both
course,
sides.
of course.
That was
Yeah.
probably one of, like his first year. There were so many moments where you could easily said he is trying to cater to racists, right?
Mhm.
And that was like the definitive moment for me where I was just like, oh fuck.
It's
Right,
one that
like,
people still quote to this day. That
That's the one.
never left him. Yeah.
Both sides.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
third one is a little bit more. It's not something he said or did, but I know, after Jamal Khashoggi was murdered, which was a journalist for the Washington Post,
Mhm.
who was from Saudi Arabia and who left the country. A lot of Saudis thought he was a traitor because he openly spoke out against the Saudi government.
Mhm.
He went to what was the Turkish consulate. He was murdered.
Yep.
Very much, obviously, on a murder carried out by the prince, Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia.
Mhm.
That didn't, an American is not. I mean, somebody who is living in America is murdered, outside of the country by a regime of Saudi Arabia, and the president basically just ignores it, and basically helps cover it up.
Yep.
They hindered the investigation into it by the CIA, FBI, whoever, and basically Trump just wanted to do business with this guy, so he basically threw them a lifeline, which
Yeah.
never really paid off for him, but it was
Mhm.
just, so now I'm hearing Biden is going to declassify some of those documents from the CIA. So
Oh, good.
could be an
Good.
investigation deeper into this.
Good. Good.
That was just, it was just probably the most
Yeah.
despicable thing that I thought he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
There were so many things to choose from. Like the list is literally endless. We could do an entire 2-3 hour pod on the stupid things that Donald Trump has done over the past 4 years. Some of mine, just kind of things that stuck out to me as just like total dumbass. Like, what the fuck are you thinking? Kind of things. Like, so not that it harms anybody. During the 2017 eclipse, this man looked straight up at the
Fucking
sky
scientist over here, fucking Bill Nye.
into the sun. It's
Called them
literally
cumulus clouds when they were clearly cirrus clouds.
Stupid.
you literally can be permanently blinded by looking at the eclipse. They obviously give you those special glasses that turns everything into pitch dark, but you could still see the sun because that's how freaking bright it can be. And this dumbass is looking straight at it.
Didn't he point to after he looked up?
Yeah, he pointed at it. Yeah.
Fucking idiot.
Man. Second thing was calling Little Pump Little Pimp.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
like, bro. And
Yeah.
little Pump is like,
That
all
pissed
right,
off all the
cool, cool.
preteens.
Yeah.
That pissed off all the preteens. I get it.
This is Little Pimp. Oh my gosh. And then the last thing was insinuating, which of course he's gonna say, oh, I was joking later, that disinfectants can
Yeah.
cure coronavirus.
Oh, yeah.
He had so many
Clorox.
gaps that I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's
Like-
crazy, right? Yeah.
Idiotic. It's almost as bad as the stuff that happened in Iran that we were hearing about too.
Yeah. And that bit was one of Sarah Cooper's finest work. That's where she
It
kind of
was.
started.
It was. Yeah.
That's where she
yeah.
kind of blew up with the
She
whole
did
Clorox
blow
thing,
up off
like
that. Yeah.
the light, the light inside the body. Like
Yeah.
she destroyed
Yeah.
that shit.
But Trump always wanted a quick fix to COVID. He
Yeah,
always
exactly,
wanted
yeah.
a.
I mean,
He
that was a nail
thought.
in his coffin, right? And I think he knew.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Great choices. There's some honorable mentions. The orb,
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
the
a good one.
globe
Yeah.
shit with
Yeah.
the Saudis, saluting a North Korean general,
Dumbass.
Yeah.
person, woman, man, camera, TV, like
Had to dumping the fish food into the
molesting the
koi
American
pond.
flag. Jamal, that was your cover photo on Facebook for a minute.
What was that? Was that?
Molesting the American flag.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Look at my African American. Forgot about
Look at my
that one.
African American. Oh yeah. Extending the hurricane projection with the
Yes,
Sharpie.
Gate. Of course. Who can forget Sharpie Gate?
Shoving a world leader out of the way to get to the front. Paper toilet on the
He's
shoe.
easily got over 100, 150 probably.
Tiny desk, yeah.
Yeah.
Stepping in front of Queen Elizabeth.
Oh God. Listen,
Bro.
the list goes
Walking
on and
down
on.
the ramp at the Naval Academy graduation and saying
Yeah.
he ran the last 10 feet.
Oh. The list goes on and on. God damn, I'm so happy this
Look,
fucker's
bro,
gone.
we made it.
Yeah.
That's all
I'm so
I can
happy
say.
this
We
fucker's
made it.
gone. Listen, we're gonna go ahead and leave it at that. The Trump glitch finally remediated.
Yes.
He's out of here. Crawled back into his Twitterless hole somewhere in Florida. We as a people, as a nation, are moving on from that. And we as a podcast are moving on from homeroom and into open gym. And speaking of Trump moving on, Drew Brees is moving on from the NFL, calling it a career after the loss to the Bucks. 20 years in the game. Let me say, as a Dolphins fan, I can finally let go and move on from the trauma of the Dolphins picking Culpepper over Breeze back in the mid 2000s in free agency. This shit still fucks with my head. Speaking of Drew Brees and the Chargers, Philip Rivers, Breeze's successor, also called it quits this week. We're getting old as shit. What the fuck?
Going to make babies full time, man.
Successors,
Yeah.
predecessors, all fucking calling it quits in the same week. Philip Rivers calls it quits. Thoughts on their careers? Philip Rivers never got a ring. Breeze got one.
So
Zane's a big Philip Rivers fan.
right, and I was essentially gonna lob up to him. You guys were discussing in the group chat earlier,
Yeah.
Philip Rivers versus Eli Manning, who had the better career.
Oh, well, that's a different story.
Rings. Oh, you the rings guy?
I mean, Eli had the better career, but I guess the debate is who's the better quarterback, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so if it's just a better quarterback, I would say Rivers.
I'm a Giants fan
Statistically,
and I say Rivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Rivers too, but I don't want to shit on Eli Manning.
Why does it have to be a debate? Because the same quarterback class, they got traded for
Same
one
quarterback
another?
class, their stats are
They got
actually
traded-
very well up to a certain point. Were very similar.
Right.
Where do they break off? You say
Uh,
to a certain degree that they're similar. So what puts, if we're talking stats, right?
I don't want to talk stats, so they're very similar enough to where
Mhm.
you could go beyond that and talk about
Okay.
other things, right?
All right, of course, there's a lot of context that
Yeah, Philip
lies
Rivers is
between all
more
that.
dangerous. I mean,
I think so, too.
anytime I watch, like, I don't care, Brady, Manning, Rodgers, like, Rivers was one of those guys that if I was rooting for a team and he was on the other side, like, I was
Yeah.
scared. I didn't know
Scared,
what the
yeah.
fuck he was going to do.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't know
Yeah.
if he would just do some crazy sidearm shit
Right.
or go on a
Yeah.
crazy fucking run in the fourth quarter. But it's tough. I mean, he's had some good teams and they haven't really gotten over the hump,
Right.
mostly because of the Patriots. So, and Eli Manning was on the team to beat the Patriots, obviously for more reasons than him being quarterback. So, either way, I think it was time for him to call it quits.
He
Rivers
went out on a good
Brees.
note, though. He had a
Is
good.
anybody surprised? I know they tinkered with the idea of him retiring. Breeze, we knew a little bit more concrete that he might have been calling it quits. But
My
Rivers-
philosophy on Rivers has always been, and this is more just reading into things, and I never felt like Rivers was obsessed with winning a Super Bowl or not that he didn't want to, but he just seemed like a kind of guy that liked playing football and having
Yeah,
fun and being
the
competitive.
backyard kid, yeah.
Yeah, like he wasn't
Yeah.
the type in San Diego when years had gone by where he was gonna stand at the table and be like, hey, what the fuck are we doing? I've got to win
Yeah.
more games, or we got to do
Right.
this. It seems like he was just enjoying it, and I think He's been kind of slipping in the last few years. I've been watching him. His arm strength, his decision making has slipped a little bit. Breeze's arm is definitely. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say about Rivers. I think one of the things that really plowed him through his career was just his durability, him being able and his resilience
Right.
to be able.
What was
to,
it like? He
continue to
started
play,
and
right.
played in 252 consecutive games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
So-
availability.
Eli also
Right.
did. We're not comparing.
Right.
ourselves,
And
yeah.
so and what factored into all those games being played is his durability, is his willpower to continue to get better and to keep plowing through. When you lose that element, which you naturally do at a certain age, you start to hit your demise a little bit. And I think that's what Rivers was
he played with the
facing
torn ACL, right? That was it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
In the championship game, what was it?
His wife
2007.
joked. His wife joked about all the injuries that he endured in just in a year or two, and she joked about maybe she shouldn't have used all that epidural during her pregnancies. Made her feel weak. Like, damn, you playing through all these injuries. I couldn't even. But you know, that's another that's another conversation. She said it. But go ahead. We were gonna go ahead and talk about Drew Brees.
Yeah. I've never. He's definitely been slipping, but I'm also surprised. I think he can still have played a couple more years.
Did he officially announce his retirement, or is it just assumed that he will?
It's assumed, but I don't think he's officially announced it.
I don't know if he is, but the headlines were official. Headlines were
Right.
Well, it's also semi-official because I think he already has a contract in place, right?
With NBC, right?
With NBC for broadcasting.
Okay.
So the assumption is obviously if he wanted to play another year, they would let him out of it, I'm sure. But the assumption is he's going to honor that as of now. And he had a pretty bad ending to a game. I don't know if you have that bad ending to a game where you throw 3 interceptions, obviously not all your fault or whatever. But like, is that the type of thing to be like, I don't want that to be my last game, or that to be like, okay, I gotta fucking hang it up, man. I don't.
Hey, listen, Dan Marino's last game was a 62-7 loss to Jacksonville.
And nobody remembers that years from now, right?
No one remembers it exactly. So, I didn't know. I thought Breeze. I honestly thought Breeze was going to give it one more year, and it goes back to the point you made, where like if a quarterback can still feel like he can do it, you don't see any legitimate reasons why he should hang him up. Some sort of nagging injury or, but Drew Brees seemed, obviously he was out a good portion of this year due to injury, but he came back and he seemed like, he was good enough to keep playing more games after into at least next year, but 42 years old at the end of the day.
I think they've had some really good teams the last few years, and I'm not trying to be a Swami, but every year I've said they're pretenders. They haven't, and they played teams that you thought they were better than, and they lost every time. So I thought maybe this year would be different since they were kind of not the underdogs, but they weren't as heavily favored. But then it's changed. So I think he's kind of seeing that these last 2 years were their best shot, and it hasn't exactly worked out.
So in New Orleans, is it Jameis' show now, or are they going to do some weird shit with Taysom Hill? Because I'm a Jameis fan. I want him starting, but
that's a good question.
And he's the only one that had a perfect passer rating in that game.
That's right.
Yeah, fuck all that. Jameis Winston is one season removed from a 5,000-yard, 30 touchdown year. Granted,
30 interceptions as well.
He's
for 5,000 yards in this.
I know, but come on, it's not. I get it. It's a passing league, but to still be able to do that, at least warrant you a starting job somewhere. 5,000 yards is 5,000 yards.
He needs to be starting somewhere next season.
He needs to be starting
he
somewhere.
Should be. So, I mean, quarterback classes and that.
He's a volume passer. I mean, I get it.
He's a volume passer.
A volume passer. Phillip Rivers is a volume passer. Yeah. The more you throw the ball, the more you get better as the game goes along, right? You start the game 5 for 20, finish 21 to 58. Squeezed in 3 touchdown passes and
those Big Ben numbers, man.
Some Russell Westbrook efficiency.
Oh shit. Yeah, so Breeze, Rivers, both got eliminated, both ended their careers. The Senior Bowl is still set for this weekend. Brady versus Rodgers.
Gonna be good shit.
Real Senior Bowls
happening? Yeah, no. That was a metaphor for the Bucks and the Packers in Green Bay this week.
20-degree chilling cold weather at Lambeau.
That's right. Is there a stat for how Brady has fared in cold weather? I know he's played in New England all his entire career, but I don't know.
He's played great in cold weather.
He's played great in cold weather. Of course.
Yeah, I mean the problem won't be him. The problem will be the rest of his team,
right?
Who haven't played in cold weather.
Rodgers has been fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, Rodgers and Lambeau is
it's
like
just fucking yeah.
Just
Lambeau or not, I mean, of course Lambeau, but Lambeau or not, 48 touchdown passes to 5 interceptions this year.
He's
motherfucker's effortless.
Right
And finally, Devontae Adams. Like we talk about wide receivers and the Packers and Aaron Rodgers never having a top. Devontae Adams,
elite.
For all that chirping that was going on pregame with Jalen Ramsey and
cooked his ass.
Something about Jalen Ramsey. I think he's a great player, but something about Jalen Ramsey just makes me root against him. It might be whatever it is. It might be the way he moves his neck when he talks, whatever.
Real
or the fact that he just keeps chirping and then keeps getting burned. DK Metcalf got him.
Very reminiscent of Josh Norman before he went up.
Devontae Adams beating him off the line, man. Just straight spraining this motherfucker. Listen, Jalen Ramsey, get a Bengay endorsement because Devontae handed you your ankles.
Did he?
Yes, on one play at least.
Right. And that's what I'm going to get at.
I'm not talking. I know, and I'm not talking about
play design.
I get the play design, the zone coverage, the motion,
communication.
But but listen, when they squared up, it's just like the rapper discussion. Mike to Mike, who's going to beat you?
Mike to Mike defense and offense is a little different.
But what the fuck were we talking about? The Bucks.
Rodgers is elite.
Yeah. Rodgers is elite. Are the Packers going to win? I think that anything less than a Super Bowl ring for Aaron Rodgers, to me, is a travesty, because I just feel like Rodgers has only won one ring. He's better than that. I know his teams haven't been that great. Mike McCarthy, all that bullshit. I get it, but this is the best he's played. You can match it up to any year of his career at age 37. I want the Packers to win. I think they're going to win. I think the Lambeau, the Lambeau advantage is going to pull them across. That's just how I feel. I might be wrong. I could very well be wrong. I think the Packers are going to take this one.
No, I think the Packers are going to win as well. Like, honestly, I'm mad with how the Bucks didn't play that great to beat the Saints. The Saints were just unfortunately terrible in that game.
And they didn't play great against Washington either.
I would say they played much better against Washington.
They don't impress me at all.
Sure.
At all?
But I would say they definitely played better against Washington than they did against New Orleans. If Washington played the team that should have against New Orleans, that would have been very interesting. I know Zane will get mad at me for being a little bit optimistic there, but I think Rodgers takes it. Like you said, he's got to get another ring, and I think the Super Bowl game, if it's against Mahomes, will be much harder than this Brady matchup, but he's going to get it done.
Well,
I'm going Green Bay. I'm not as down on Tampa Bay as you guys are, but I think Rodgers is just on a roll. And I'm a little not so hot on like Mike Evans, who seems to be about to break apart at any minute, and the running game for Tampa is still a little shaky. So, yeah, I mean, Rodgers I think it's just his year, at least as far as the NFC goes. So, yeah.
I got Green Bay, but it worries me a lot that all of you are also on Green Bay.
It's like the ESPN countdown crew when they all pick against Washington, and then Washington beats the 11-0 Steelers.
Last week
you fucking contrarian, man.
No, it's not. I mean, last week I put money on the Bucks, and all my friends were just like, "How this make no sense?" Like the Saints whooped their ass twice. The second game to beat my 35 points. Nothing about this says it's going to be a 3-point game, which is what the spread was. I put my money on the Bucks. I swear to God, the first half I was wanting to throw my phone at the damn TV. This offense is such fucking ass to me. Like, you got Mike Evans, you got Antonio Brown, Gronkowski, Godwin, Evan Brake. Like, 3rd and 1, Bruce Arians is sending like 4 guys on like 40-yard post routes and 1 guy to the fucking flat. And I'm just like, what the hell is like this guy like sends 4 guys deep on every fucking play. And you have no fucking no line, no protection. So the first half, I mean, they could have easily been down 21 points in the first half.
Are you
But they
sure
weren't.
Bruce Arians?
Oh yeah,
Bruce Arians boasted this week about how he lets
Ryan
Brady
Leftwich.
yeah, which is basically a
No,
cover up.
that Tom Brady's calling plays at the line. Maybe he's calling these 40-yard post routes.
So basically, what happened in the first half, they're running the Bruce Arians offense, and the second half, they're running the Tom Brady New England style offense, right? Because you can see the difference. In the first half, everybody was going deep post, deep whatever. Second half, all slants.
Field Gates over here.
I mean, you could tell the difference, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can see they're
You're right. No, you're absolutely right. I agree. Yeah.
It's very obvious, right? But they could have easily lost that game by 20. I mean, the first quarter, they could have been down by 14 points, right? And that could have been the end of the game, but the Saints just choked it all the way to me.
The Jared Cook fumble when New Orleans was up 20-13, looking to potentially drive. That was it from there.
Almost pick six also. I mean, they were dead in the water at that point too, and he returned that ball to the 1 yard line. That's how they scored a touchdown. The Jared Cook fumble, then they scored a touchdown. Other than that, they couldn't move the ball at all, right? Third interceptions, that's they scored again. So spread on this game is Green Bay -4. So in my mind, if I'm a casual fan, I see I can get 4 points to Tom Brady. I mean, that just seems like a bait for people to take the Bucs. So 4 points is a lot, I think. I think even though my issue is that Green Bay, I don't think is as talented as Tampa Bay, but I still think they're going to be able to pull it out. That's just being able to play in Lambeau. The weather's going to make a huge difference. You got guys other than Tom Brady who are used to playing in freaking Florida, right? They were dropping balls in the Superdome. I mean, how are they going to adjust to playing in 23rd-degree weather in a place like Lambeau where there will be a true home field advantage, right? Because you're going to have fans there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think the Packers can beat the Chiefs or whoever advances. If they play the Bills, they can beat them. But I think the Chiefs right now are still, the cream of the crop.
So the Chiefs and Bills, also on Sunday. Mahomes, is he going to play?
I haven't heard any
Right now
updates. Is he clear?
He's still in the protocol. Whatever that
protocol is
entails.
going to go on. He has to go through all the steps in the protocol, but I don't see any way unless he has some sort of setback where he does not play.
Right.
It's almost a 99% chance. They're going to do everything in their power to make sure he plays.
If this becomes a fucking Chad Henne Cinderella story, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be fucking pissed.
What a play, though.
What a play. But the Browns, I'm going to take it to the Browns for a second because they got a lot of kudos, and they should get a lot of kudos for having a great season, making it to the playoffs, getting to the second round. But at the end of the day, the Browns going to Brown. You're going to have fucking Chad Henne seal the fucking game on a third down on
3rd and 14.
Drive.
Yeah, man.
To get
so
13 yards.
To me, it's a one possession game. You're playing against a team without Patrick Mahomes, let alone Chad Henne, and
who probably got zero practice work during the week leading up.
To me, you revalidate yourself as the fucking Cleveland Browns. I'll leave for that moment. Fuck that shit. If Chad Henne wins this, if Chad Henne ends up becoming the Cinderella story, this fucking Jeff Hostetler bullshit. Shout out to the 1990 New York Giants. Otis Anderson won that fucking MVP, not Jeff Hostetler. That'll be some crazy shit. But yeah, I agree. I think Mahomes is gonna play. I think that even with Mahomes, the Bills have a good chance of being in position to win the game. I kind of just said as much possibly as they could have that they're not going to win the game, but that they might win the game. The Bills are fucking good, and they're going to put up points. I'd like to see how Diggs and some of their other wideouts match up against Kansas City's secondary, spearheaded by Matthew.
Tyrann Mathieu.
Honey Badger.
And the linebackers front line, pressure on Josh Allen is going to be important. Seeing how much he can buckle under the pressure. Of course, he can obviously throw out of the pocket, extend plays. So that'll be interesting to watch. I think if Mahomes plays and it's 100%, this motherfucker was wobbling. I mean, even without
he looked bad,
the head
he
injury.
was woozy.
even before
bad.
head injury, he tweaked his
Hurt his
leg
foot.
or his ankle.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah, he
Yeah.
hurt his foot.
Yeah.
So if he's coming out there looking like that or anything close to it, I think the Bills are going to win.
Wow.
But I think if Mahomes is 100% or close to 100% or plays like he looks like he's 100%, then the Chiefs are going to win. Home field is obviously going to be an advantage. I'm going with the Chiefs. Just off, my gut instinct, but I would not be surprised if Buffalo pulls this off with or without Mahomes.
Yeah. As much as I'm a big Bills fan, because obviously Stephon Diggs, Maryland guy, Josh Allen, I had him on freaking 3 fantasy football teams this season. That's how great he was. But I just, as long as Mahomes is anywhere close to the MVP caliber, Hall of Fame caliber quarterback that he is, like, I think he's just going to tear that Bills defense up. And, it might end up being something like a 34-31 win or something like that. But,
I hope you're
can't
right.
bet against the Chiefs.
I adopted Buffalo to start the playoffs. I'm still sticking with my pick.
Mm.
I just like them this year, so I'm going with the upset. Going Buffalo.
You going for the Super Bowl win? Buffalo Super Bowl?
I'm sticking to it, man.
Okay.
Wow.
Y'all can take your chalk. Take your fucking chalk. Going out on a limb.
I don't think the Bills are in the same class as the Chiefs, but if there's any one weekend, it's gonna happen. It could happen this weekend. I'm rooting for the Chiefs, but I think the points you guys make are very good. There's an upset alert. All the pieces are in play, and those pieces are: 1, Mahomes is semi-hurt. 2, the Chiefs defense has played relatively well lately, and the Bills offense hasn't played relatively well lately. I think those 2 things could flip on the same day. And when those 2 things can flip on the same day, I think this could turn into a game where the Chiefs are down and they're fighting to get back. And I'm still going with the Chiefs, but I'm very wary.
Who knows? Maybe Stephon Diggs will burn Bashaud Breeland for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Breeland was hurt last week too.
Right. Yeah. They had a lot of injuries in their secondary.
Yeah, and
but the Chiefs having their back against the ropes has been kind of a trigger for them as well too. So to that point that you made, that if the Chiefs do kind of fall behind early, kind of like the Golden State Warriors, man, of like 16-17, where they just kind of flipped the switch, they just ran off points on you. I mean, I've seen the Chiefs against my team run off 30 points in a quarter and a half, and they've done it against every other team. So I think
the Bills or the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
And they've talked about it. Like Kelsey was on an interview and he was just like you really just want to get back to those playoffs. And like when you're week in and week out and you're like, okay, we have to get amped up for week 3 or week 6 or whatever. I mean, it's hard. Yeah.
But you just think about a team when they're in that phase where they're just running off these points and they just kind of, they just looking at each other and they're just feeling each other, just like, we know we're in that zone right now, and they just keep going. The Warriors had it, the Chiefs have it, and so it's going to be completely unpredictable. Even if the Bills go up early. And
that spin move that Travis Kelce put on that Cleveland Brown, ooh, filthy! Absolutely broke his ankles.
Yeah. So
how come Neil sound like Mr. Doubtfire right now?
Hey, Robin Williams, the GOAT.
Ooh, it was a run by Fruity.
I can hip hop, bebop, dance till you drop, and yo, make a wicked cup of cocoa.
All right, so
I'm glad I was able to finish my drink just now.
Wow.
Either way, the Super Bowl is gonna feature a fucking geezer and a fucking preteen on each side of the field.
Yep.
Brady and Rodgers on one side, both, obviously Brady's 43, Rodgers is 37, Mahomes is 25, Josh Allen is 24. He doesn't look 37 at all, not at all.
Jesus. That's crazy. That's a combined
Brady
30
doesn't
years
look
difference.
43. Did you guys see that side-by-side shot of Brady and George Blanda? They were doing some comparison.
Yes, I saw it.
Blanda looked like Brady's grandfather. And he was 50 days younger.
Yeah, motherfuckers just look old back in the day, man. Much
Some
different
cigarettes,
life,
man.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, Len Dawson smoking cigarettes at
Yeah.
halftime of the Super Bowl and shit.
Fucking chewing tobacco on the
That's what's it, yeah.
sidelines. It's different.
Speaking of young quarterbacks, man, we got a 25-year-old franchise quarterback on the trade block right now. Deshaun Watson talk, the buzz has been pretty high for the past few weeks. Obviously, Deshaun doesn't want to be in Houston anymore. He just signed this monster contract, 4-year, $150, and just turns around and turns on the franchise, which kind of speaks to the franchise to me. Like, what the fuck did you guys do?
Yeah.
Obviously, you know what they did or said. DeAndre Hopkins, the GM hired, Eric Bieniemy.
This also could be going back to the owner. Didn't the owner say a year or two ago, it's like, oh, you can't let the inmates run the prison?
Yeah, there you go. And that's exactly how the approach was. It was basically, we gave you your fucking money. Now shut the fuck up and throw the ball.
Shut up and play.
And Deshaun, he's not standing for it. And so now he's demanding the trade. His contract came with a clause, a no trade clause. So he has some leverage on the destination where he wants to go. We know there's a few teams that have a good number of assets that are expendable to give up to get Deshaun. The Jets, my Dolphins are up there.
So tell us, Abdullah, what would be a trade where if it was offered to the Dolphins, you would say, yep. Is it 2 first rounds and Tua? What does that look like?
I've drawn my line, and it's probably not going to be enough. And if it goes over, I'll probably bite and say, fuck it, let's do it. But my line is the number 3 pick, the 18th
from Houston. Wait, so it's the number 3 pick that they got from Houston for Laremy Tunsil.
It's ours now. Yeah, it's ours now. That's our shit. It's like when you go to Brooklyn and you park a car on the side of the road. You go to the deli. You come out and motherfuckers are trying to sell your tires back to you. That's what the fuck we do. You got a bunch of hooligans with your fucking tires trying to sell them back to you. That's what the fuck we do in Houston right now. Like, yeah, all right, we'll give you your pick back. It's our pick right now. So the number 13. And our second round pick is theirs too. I think the number 36 pick is Houston's as well for Kenny Stills. My line is number 3, number 18, and Tua. Because even with number 3, number 18, and Tua, we get Deshaun. We still have 2 second round picks. And we still have a good number of picks after that. So asset wise, I think we have enough to give up for Deshaun and enough to retain to develop the rest of the roster. We got about $30 million in cap space as well. But I know Houston's asking for 3 first round picks. So if it's going to be our 2 picks plus a 2022, 2023 pick, might bite on that as well. I've been just waiting.
But you instantly become a contender with him, right?
I think so. The jury's still out on that as well. You kind of look at what Flores has done with this roster in itself and getting him to 10 wins, a no-name defense for the most part, outside of Xavier Howard, a revolving door, third-string running backs, undeveloped quarterback, journeyman quarterback, receivers out. Former college quarterbacks converted to wide receivers. There's like 3 of them on our roster. Yeah. All of them fucking start. The defense, we had 10 straight games with a takeaway. And 10 straight games with a takeaway. That's up there. That's in the record books, bro. Funny. 10 straight games with a takeaway. Yeah. So the defense showed the best third down defense, the best points defense. Those things matter. So those kind of things kind of cater to an offense that's struggling, which struggled a lot with Tua and Ryan Fitzpatrick, who Ryan Fitzpatrick bailed us out of a lot of games. That Vegas game we should not have won.
It's magic.
Right? A couple other games we should not have won. The Chargers game we should not have won, but we got bailed out. But
you guys a question: has Deshaun leaked? I'm sure. I don't think he's leaked anything personally, but are there any like little breadcrumbs anywhere about where he might want to go? I heard he had like some team jacket on the other day, and some kind of random shit. Has there been any trails of stuff on social media at all?
So he's got an archive of comments and pictures and different gear, and different Instagram accounts that he follows. that kind of just call his name out that he follows, and
Okay.
a lot of those posts he'll like. I think there's one local New York media outlet that has an Instagram account with a good number of followers who screenshot the cover of the New York Post, calling for Deshaun Watson, and he liked it, and so that created a little buzz, like, oh, is he going to New York? There's a picture of him wearing a Dan Marino shirt. He's said that he likes the culture that Flores has created in Miami, but all that is just
So he's
propaganda at this point,
effectively
so-
enjoying what it's like to be
Yes.
courted as a free agent.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But he's really asking
Absolutely.
out. Okay.
And you have the leverage, you pick your destination kind of
Yeah,
shit. Like,
yeah.
So that's absolutely something that he's probably enjoying right now. If I had to predict where he's going to go, I just feel like you're going to call it bias, but I think that Miami, just the location, no state income tax. He's used to that in Texas.
The Pat Riley selling point to all free agents.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What Flores has been able to accomplish, and what Miami's able to give up for him, I think is enough to bring him in. So I think he's going to end up in Miami. I think so.
That pipe dream is only a little bit more realistic than the pipe dream that he comes to Washington.
Yeah, Miami or the Jets. I don't think it's going to be any other team outside of those two.
Abdul's a fucking quarterback slut. Fucking Fitzpatrick. Then he's on fucking.
I grew up a
Justin Herbert.
Listen, I grew up a Dan Marino fan, and since his retirement, has gone through 25 different starting quarterbacks.
Do not talk to any of the Washington fans here about quarterbacks.
You can relate.
Sir.
You would love Tony Banks right now.
I would not like former Dolphin John Beck, though.
Zane, you would kill for John Freeze right now.
I think Miami has the most ammo, right?
Yes.
If
I
they
don't think it's the
turn
best fit. I don't think
Laramie
it's the best fit.
Tunsil into Deshaun Watson, shit.
If
Go
I
ahead,
was
Zane,
him,
go ahead.
I mean, the Colts is the no-go, right? Same division, right?
Theoretically.
Yeah, there are some restrictions to the clause. There's some clauses to the clause. I don't know what they are, but I would assume that it would allow Houston to control whether or not they can trade him to another team in their division.
I mean, either way, they control the whole thing, but obviously the no trade clause means you can reject anything. So eventually it's going to come to a standstill where it's like, okay, just get rid of this guy, man. Like, we have to trade him at this point. We don't have a choice. Wherever he wants. Well, this thing might drag out for a while, or they might just jump at the next best offer. The Jets has been another team that's been floating around. But
the Colts do have a lot of cash. They got a lot
The
of
Colts
cash.
have the best thing to offer. They play in the
How y'all get Deshaun Watson? Straight cash, homie.
Straight cash.
Man, that would be some craziness for the Colts to go from Andrew Luck to Phillip Rivers to Deshaun Watson.
from Peyton Manning.
So what do you think?
Yeah,
What do you think?
that too.
Call it.
I got no clue, so I ain't saying shit.
The Redskins don't. I mean, the watch voting this doesn't stand a chance, right?
Like, I think it's like probably less than a 2% chance or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a pipe dream.
So the article that came out on ESPN mentioned, I didn't read the whole thing, but I read a snippet that somebody had shared on Twitter that they've got 35 million cap space. So outside of the cap space that they have to bring in Deshaun has a back-ended contract, so it's backloaded. So coming in, his 2021 salary is $10 million, and then it jumps to 37 to 40 to
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
Yeah. So
It's a great agent.
the cash is there, but is Washington willing to give up? What is their draft capital like? What is their roster talent outside of Chase Young like to give up?
Well,
I
mean,
Realistically, I'm just realistically speaking. If Washington,
No, so like it just
got?
backhand thoughts. Obviously they gave up essentially 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick for RG3, right?
yeah.
Two additional first-round picks and a second-round pick. But I don't know if they say, "Oh, you give us 3 first-round picks, why not do it?" Maybe like, okay, 2 first-round picks and maybe like a John Allen type that you think, okay, maybe we're not going to have the money to re-sign him. I think Deshaun Watson elevates them to an immediate NFC contender. But
I mean,
at the same time,
I just think Houston's looking for draft capital. I think
I think the ammo is going to be more important than anything. Although I think Miami and Washington are kind of in the same boat from a talent perspective, what to offer, but obviously Miami can offer the weather, right? I agree. They can offer the weather. Washington has some known Trumpers on the team, which might be a negative, maybe could prohibit Deshaun from, because I know not race, but politics or internal politics that could revolve around race have something to do with his situation in Houston, right?
Yeah.
So he might not want to go play for a team that has issues in the front office, right?
Right. Exactly. And Jamal, I'm gonna get to you in a minute. I wanted to ask this quick question. Does Snyder, his reputation, do you think it plays a factor in players' decision? Just knowing Snyder's oversight on the team, his micromanaging, do you think that Snyder himself would?
Well, unfortunately, you have to live with the results that Snyder is responsible for the drafting of RG3, the trade for RG3, and the drafting of Dwayne Haskins. Unfortunately, neither have worked out. They say that, okay, Ron Rivera, it's a new day under Ron Rivera and all that kind of stuff. And, that may or may not finalize to be true, but the history of Dan Snyder before Ron Rivera states one thing. And so that's the longer history that you can base things off. It would be great if Ron Rivera has total control and Snyder is staying out of things, but can you believe that?
You want to with Ron Rivera, don't you?
You would hope, yeah.
You want to. Okay.
Sorry, what
happened? Go ahead, Jamal. Would you?
I don't really I feel like Miami has the inside track on it. I would like to see him go to. I saw Atlanta thrown out there. I don't know what I was like. Slightly intriguing to me.
That's very interesting.
You got to move Matt Ryan then, though.
Screw him. He's done.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at their mock drafts. They're probably ready to move on from Matt Ryan.
Atlanta would be super interesting.
But I mean, it gives the elements of it's outside of the division and the conference as a whole. He's in a dome. They're an exciting team, great fan base. It has a lot of things set up for him to, be an attractive. And he's a young guy. Atlanta's
that would make
him
a super contender to me.
Yeah, it's a great market. So I think again, I think Miami has the favorability part of it, but I feel like there might be a surprise at the last minute. So that's a team I would just keep an eye on.
I want him to go to Atlanta all of a sudden.
So do I.
Like, honestly,
thinking about this shit, like
that is a sexy lineup. Deshaun Watson, Julio Jones, and Calvin Ridley. Like that might be the best quarterback and dual wide receiver duo in the league.
I mean, along with the Chiefs, yeah.
You know what? I'm about to Photoshop him in a Falcons jersey tonight.
That's
the least Photoshop
black,
I've seen. That's the least Photoshop I've seen on Twitter. I've seen him in the Jets, Dolphins, Washington, Bears, Panthers, Patriots.
Is good,
How much would you pay to see Deshaun Watson in an Arthur Blank reality show?
Weird as shit.
Arthur Blank just reminds me of that.
He looks like a fucking cartoon.
He's a cartoon villain.
Yeah.
I love him.
That man with the mustache.
I feel like they find common ground on cigars or some shit. Like, I don't know.
But he would really mispronounce his name all the time.
Yeah.
He'd like mangle his name all the time. Like, hey Dasha, you want to come out for a sip?
Nice earrings, Deshaun.
Yeah.
African.
Well.
What are those blood diamonds?
Those blood diamonds.
Conflict diamonds. Conflict diamonds. Oh man. Well, we'll see what happens with Deshaun. I think the trade period, you can't make any trades until March 17th or some shit. But you can agree in principle before then. So we'll see if anything pans out of that. Hopefully we'll see a Wizards game before we find out where Watson ends up, right?
Talk about shit I've forgotten about.
No bullshit.
I totally forgot.
These motherfuckers
Forgot about these motherfuckers.
had an off season, 10 games into the season, 11 games into the season.
Dog,
Man.
what
I
are
totally
they?
forgot
Three.
about this.
They're still 3-8, and I mean, what's the schedule? Where are we at in the season right now? Game what?
What happens now? They haven't played for 2 weeks, right?
So I'll give you guys the rundown. So last Monday they beat the Phoenix Suns, pretty handily, off of the news that Thomas Bryant unfortunately partially tore his ACL. And then all of a sudden the next day they have unfortunately a COVID-19 outbreak within the team. They unfortunately had 6 players test positive for COVID-19. And, that sent them into a long-term shutdown. They have had 5 games postponed already. And it's looking, unfortunately, that they will play their Friday game at Milwaukee. But it's really a tough position that the NBA has put them in. They finally returned to the facility tonight. This is Wednesday, we're recording. 9 days since they played Phoenix. They've had no team activity since then. They're doing Zoom workouts, but that's meaningless. That's nothing compared to.
I saw that term yesterday. What the fuck is a Zoom workout?
It's meaningless. Literally, these guys in their
do
apartment.
Zoom workouts to start the school day. They get up and fucking do jumping jacks and burpees. Is that what they're doing?
It's terrible. They have basketballs.
Video and shit.
What'd you say?
Like a P90X like video and shit. Like,
come on, you guys, work it up. Come on, I need to see some sweat. Come on.
insanity shit. Like,
it's honestly a very bad situation. And Brad talked about it very vividly tonight. He's like, we have 8 players that are going to have to average 30 minutes after over a week of any participation in basketball drills. There's a high risk of injury. They were going to try. Brad and Russ were trying to get on the phone with Michelle Roberts of the NBA Players Association and try and push back and say, this is ridiculous. How are you guys going to make us play? We'll see how all of that turns out. But, the Wizards season literally has gone from bad to worse to even worse than that. And, it's going to be almost impossible to make the playoffs at this point. Maybe they make the play-in tournament, but this upcoming road trip now, they have potentially a 4-game road trip where they're going to be without potentially Denny Avdia, Davis Bertans, Troy Brown Jr., Rui Hachimura, Ish Smith, and Mo Wagner. All 6 of those players could be out because they were the 6 players that probably tested positive for COVID-19, and they are mandated to have a 10 to 14-day quarantine. So
they're flirting with this idea that they could play on Friday. Right.
As of right now, they are supposed to play on Friday.
I thought I saw Denny's name as part of the 8-man lineup. No,
he's out.
So give me the potential starting 5.
So this is how bad it is. They have 8 players available, and I'll give you the rundown by minutes played in the NBA season. Bradley Beal has 19,000 minutes played in the NBA. Robin Lopez has 19,000 minutes played. The other 6 guys combined have less than 7,000 minutes played. And those other 6 guys are Isak Bonga, Anthony Gill, who's had essentially no NBA playing time, Garrison Matthews, a 2-way player, Raul Neto, Jerome Robinson, and Cassius Winston, another 2-way player that has 0 playing time.
Those are all guards.
They have nothing.
The fuck is that?
Cash and Russell, their 2nd-round pick, but I remember he's on the roster every time he likes a Instagram post and I see his name on it. But
Zane in the background. Who the fuck is Cassius?
Who the fuck is?
I'm gonna name Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay.
Listen. I get it. Only 8 players available, but 7 of those guys are fucking guards. What are they?
Yeah.
How are they going to match up with these guys?
Show of hands, who's already looking at mock drafts? Because I've been doing that since
getting that Cade Cunningham hype train going.
I might as well just start watching college basketball at this point, man.
That's not much else. That's not much better. Not much better.
Okay.
Speaking of college ball, I saw this weird stat. It was the first time since like 1984, 85 that neither Duke nor UNC were ranked in the top 25.
Yeah.
Like college ball's bad. Kentucky's terrible. All the blue blood, a lot of the blue blood programs are just, it's just one of those aberration type years. So
it's
I'm already
Big Ten that's running shit now. Big Ten has 6 top 25 teams.
It's wild as fuck, man. Yeah, I don't know.
So,
Wizards basketball it's been fairly unwatchable. Like you, I'm worried about injuries. I'm worried about guys just being wildly out of shape. Just putting bodies out there just to do it. It's a fucked up situation for them to be in. So
If the NBA makes them play on Friday, like that's just insult on top of
it's cruel.
injury.
It's
The
cruel.
NBA literally put the Wizards in this situation because night in and night out for 4 to 5 games in a row, Washington was playing a team that then later had a player test positive the next day or the day after that. It was inevitable that this was going to happen. The Wizards did nothing wrong, and they got quite literally screwed by the NBA and had the biggest COVID outbreak that we've seen so far in this young season.
yeah, we've had 11 cases all around the NBA. I think
Since the last update, so that's just 11 cases in the past week.
And Washington just happens to be one of several teams that have already gone through this kind of bullshit with minimized rosters and forced to play games with depleted rosters and rotations. I don't know how this is going to pan out for the long term for the season, with just these teams being disadvantaged week in and week out. But the NBA just is content on plowing through. And whoever, and it's just so funny to me because they were so highly touted for the whole bubble
doing it the right way,
which was right, which was obviously it was well done. But the NFL caught a lot of slack for having games and allowing fans but they've been able to, outside of a handful of games that got postponed, none got canceled. No team had to endure more than a week off.
There was no wave through a team.
There was no wave.
Nothing that was like debilitating.
There's no way. Yeah, right. And I remember those Sunday morning tweets from Adam Schefter. Everyone's passed, everyone's through. Let's play ball, right? And I love that. I was like, yo, fuck it, yeah. And here we are, NFC AFC Championship. So, what this means for Adam Silver, what this means for the NBA, we'll see how they plan to handle this going forward. We'll go ahead and wrap up Open Gym with that. Move on into theater. We got some shows to catch up on.
Yes, sir.
We'll stick to sports. Tiger Woods. Is this the finale?
Yeah. Yep.
Two-part
docu-series. Yeah.
Okay. What's up, Jamal?
Man, so the Tiger series wrapped this past Sunday. So carrying forward from part 1, which is really about Tiger's ascendancy to stardom and his very complicated relationship with his dad, his parents really, but specifically his dad. So we hit the part of the series that everybody wanted to know about, is how his life fell apart, right? So the episode started with Tiger after his last tournament win following his dad's death. 25 days after he buried his dad, he went to this like military training compound in California and was doing, fucking special ops, like kind of mock drills and stuff like that. And, his dad was military, and he mentioned that he was just trying to find something, something tangible, something that he could kind of tie his emotions to in his dad's absence. So, that was kind of a little odd thing. And I vaguely remember, I don't know how much you guys remember that, but a lot of stuff came back to me over watching this episode. But ultimately we got to the part where, we got into his adultery, right? And it started with a server at a restaurant called Perkins, which is, I think, more common in the South. Met this woman, kind of flirted with her, got her number, and they were like fucking in the parking lot, like. And at one point, National Enquirer got wind of it.
Mindy Lawton,
right? Following them around in the car, he was fucking her like in his Escalade. And at one part, this shit was crazy. He fucked her and like, she took her tampon out before they fucked and like tossed it in the parking lot. So they do that thing, they pull off. The guy that followed them like went and picked the shit up and like took it with him and was like, we have the eye, you know what I mean? Like he had the like, we know what you're doing, Tiger, and your people's better like remedy this shit. So in exchange for their silence, Tiger agreed to do a men's health cover, men's fitness, which was, under the National Enquirer kind of the publication umbrella. So, what we saw from there was obviously just a ton of things. He really got in really deep with this woman, Rachel Yucatel, who was, speaking on the documentary and who had so much fucking plastic surgery that she didn't look human, right? And it followed that trail to when he got busted right before Thanksgiving. I think it was 2006, 2009. And they said ultimately after that whole thing, and Tiger was flying her out to where he was. He would have her come down to Florida, and he was compartmentalizing masterfully his side chicks and his playing career. I mean, he was still killing it on the course, but he had like 12 different lives going. And they said what ultimately had him undone was the fact that he treated these women like these relationships, not just side pussy, but just like he was treating each one like he was emotionally into them and laying up with them and talking to him and telling him about his problems and, just being very open about, I guess, whatever he was not getting at home. And yeah, when Elin, his ex-wife, who picked up the phone and answered one day when Rachel called, when she pulled back the rug and all that stuff, that's when we saw like 11, 12 women come out and say they thought that Tiger actually loved them. It wasn't just, like I said, a sex thing. Like they seemed like not really necessarily he was going to leave his wife for them, but they felt a strong emotional connection, something that was much bigger than just something physical. But Tiger was out there, man. He was going to Vegas. He was hanging with Mike and Charles Barkley. He was getting madams, and he was getting 10 women at a time, and he was role playing. Yeah.
Did they mention any of these women and his relationship with them? Did they tie any of that to what he saw from his father?
They did bring that up. Yeah, they brought up the element of that, and they said it was ironic that he became the very thing that he hated about his dad, and that was him being, a womanizer. But there was a play on that, and I expected that to come back up.
Yeah,
I think they clearly pulled that part of his dad's story out for a reason.
Which I mentioned last week.
Yeah. But yeah, so once he decided for himself that he wanted to. I mean, the marriage is over. He was dealing with the injuries, and he decided he wanted to kind of turn things around. He treated his whole situation with people close to his life much like he did with his ex-girlfriend in high school and early college. He just said, I'm done with it. I'm done with you. He fired his caddy.
Right.
He cut certain people out of his circle, and he wanted to just start anew. And that's where we saw the kind of the documentary kind of wrapped on that notice. He started new. He became much more friendly and jovial with his competitors, whereas before he didn't give a fuck. He didn't want to speak to if you were, you're an opponent of his. He became, just a much different person. So he, kind of took this new model of basically a single dad and being, much more nicer and kinder and normal person, not a fucking golf android. And that's the path he chose to have going forward. So it's pretty good.
So I ended up, binging the first episode and second episode yesterday, just because I was like, I want to watch this. I bet the bill a little on the HBO Max subscription. There are a few other things I want to watch on there anyway. So I really enjoyed it. To Abdullah's point last week, shit, man, these 102-minute episodes, god dang, man. I thought it was a little bit stretched out. They could have condensed a few things a little bit. But, I enjoyed it, especially from the fact of I didn't necessarily see his ascent, right? Because when he won the Masters for the first time, I was freaking just born at that point.
Right.
So I never saw the stardom of, the 4 Grand Slam major wins in a row in whatever 2001 that it was. So I never really knew about that Tiger. I think, honestly, my first memory of Tiger was, unfortunately, the car accident. Where he drives over a fire hydrant and runs into a tree, shortly after, all of this information comes out. What's that?
Was he getting roadhead?
I don't think so.
That was the incident where his wife was chasing him outside with the
golf club.
Yeah, smashed the back of the truck.
Yeah.
But man, it was a sad downfall for Tiger. And then he fought through injuries. He freaking won the U.S. Open with a broken knee, which was incredible. But then he had another downfall where, I think he was arrested in 2017. had
Yeah,
multiple drugs in the system.
They had the footage of that when he got pulled over, which I also remember because that's where the infamous mugshot comes from. That was pretty fucking hard to watch because he was doped up on so much different Ambien and like
So much.
all types of pain relievers, and he thought he was in California. He's like, "Oh, I'm coming from Orange County," and the cop was like, "You're in Florida, like,
Jupiter, Florida."
Yeah, you're not in California.
And they asked him to put his head back and recite whatever the alphabet without singing, and he said, "Oh, you want me to sing God Bless America?"
Yeah,
I was like, "Come on."
He was gone, man.
That moment was so big because Tiger at that point when the affairs and all that stuff came out, he was that one guy that people still believed, and I'm not saying he's a bad guy, right? But perception wise, he was still the good guy.
He was the saint.
I mean? He was the saint. He was the golden child. He was
the multiracial, like,
that was different
than
Michael. Not Michael's not a great reputation, but Michael, gambling and whatever it might be. Tiger was still that guy, and that when that image was kind of torn down, it was pretty sad. I remember when it happened.
Yep.
I don't know who has fulfilled that the weight of being America's sweetheart, having all that talent, and also having a tough upbringing, right? So it's just a tough thing, man.
Yeah.
The perception versus reality kind of kicks in a lot when you talk about Tiger Woods, because to what you alluded to, underneath the surface of what we saw Tiger as, the golden child, the saint, there was that pressure from his father, right? And then there was that exposure to who his father really was, what he was doing behind his mom's back.
Yep.
And I've always, and I brought this point up last week because the strongest points to me are always, that parent-child connection and what a child observes from his parents, his or her parents, and what they learn from it and how they react to it. And learning about that, about how his dad was and what he saw, his dad doing and how it broke his heart to what it turned him into, a womanizer. That because he didn't give a fuck at one point, he didn't give a fuck. He said, "You know what? This is what I've learned. My father did it and he got away with it and he was fine with it and everything was all good. I'm going to do it too." So I think, beneath the surface, we don't see all that shit that kind of culminates into, until it kind of funnels out and you see all the bullshit just kind of splatter out. And it looks awful. But I didn't get a chance to watch the finale, but I was curious about those particular points about how those situations kind of stemmed from what he saw growing up.
Yeah. Like I said, you kind of saw the tie-in coming. But man, I don't know, dude. It's I think it was really good. I think yes, it was a little lengthy, but we're talking Tiger Woods here. We're talking a sports icon, and they needed to tell a lot of his story. I give it a B+.
I think listen, one of his lowest moments though was the meme that was created out of him of him taking off his hat in the bald spot. No.
You gotta take your hat off here.
And the best meme that came out of that was, "Hey, bro, you can't wear your hat in the
hats in here, fam."
Oh man.
And you know that moment where you gotta fuck, man.
Yeah.
You gonna make me really take this off. And you can't wait to get to your table in the dark corner of the club so you can put this shit right back on.
Yeah.
I remember those
what's up,
the text
dog?
messages came out around that time. I don't know. Did they talk about that in the show?
No, I don't think they didn't. No text.
Because there were texts leaked around the time of the incident. I remember it was funny. Like it was like the baby talk between him and whoever the girl
Probably
was.
you
and
could
like
tell.
Her nickname for him was Blasian because he's black and Asian. She's like my little Blasian, sexy Blasian, whatever the fuck it was. Fucking hilarious.
I thought he was 1/16th Indian. Come on, put some respect on that.
Blasian.
All right, so what else is on HBO Max? WandaVision.
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
Disney Hop
Plus.
over, man. This is real quick. I just so there are 2 episodes up now. I think these are dropping every Friday. This is in a Marvel comic universe, but it's really a way different type of storytelling. So this is not an action series at all. It's set like a 1950s like black and white sitcom. It's got a laugh track, and it follows the Marvel character Vision. Unclear what time period this is set in, but it's he and his wife live in a very, kind of suburban kind of a setting. Vision is working at like an accounting office, and his wife stay at home. But there are little drops here and there about, some kind of where the series might go. I'm fairly new to the Marvel comic universe. I didn't get into Marvel movies until probably about 2 or so years ago. But Vision is one of the more interesting characters. So,
this is the joint with the Darth Maul looking motherfucker, right? Like with the
yeah. It's in black and white. But yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's pretty. So it shows his, his powers. And the wife has some special powers too. Wife is played by Wanda is played by
Elizabeth Olsen.
Mary Cat, and Ashley Olsen's little sister, who I saw in Endgame, but I'm going through the Marvel movies in order still.
Oh,
I'm
really?
So I've seen a lot of the movies out of order, but there are parts in the middle I'm missing. Like I haven't seen the early Avengers. I haven't seen, like fucking the second Thor, like shit like that. So I got like gaps that fill in the middle. So I'm pulling things together slowly but surely. But I like how outside of the box WandaVision is. It's getting great reviews. I think it's got like 97% of Rotten Tomatoes.
97%.
I'm really looking forward to episode 3. Because like I said, they're leading you into something. There's some really interesting stuff in there. I'm reading all the Easter egg stuff when I finish the episodes. So it's pretty cool, man. It's an easy watch. Episodes are 30 minutes. I think actually a little bit shorter than that. So quick and easy way to get through a series. So
Neil, right up your alley.
Yeah, I do love myself some Marvel. So
Quick and easy, like your taste in women.
Yeah, so fuck with WandaVision. Good stuff.
It's a movie, right?
No, it's a series.
miniseries.
It's a series.
Series.
Okay.
Yep.
It's a mini, so it's only one season then.
Yeah. So far, it just started up. I think it was supposed to start in. I think that it was originally slated for December, like around Christmas, and it just started last week. So they released the first 2 episodes at first, and then they're going to do every Friday, I heard, going forward. I don't know how long it's going to be, but yeah, with 30-minute episodes, you can't go wrong.
We'll try to catch up.
Yep.
Right?
You ain't. No, you ain't.
No, you ain't.
This man's been trying to catch up for 10 years
I've
now.
barely gotten through half of Mandalorian, man. Like
He tries to play along too, like, unfortunately, it's on HBO. And how long are the episodes? And it's on the internet, right?
If Abdullah with a download remaining counter on your computer, like that thing would be at 3% and say 38 days remaining.
y'all need kids in your life, man.
Oh, this fucking bullshit.
Hey, you already neglect your oldest son, so come on.
Y'all need to impregnate some women, man.
Fucking play.
All right, man. We'll leave theater at that. Let's go ahead and hop into detention. Punish some of these motherfuckers, man. We still having fucking COVID parties.
Oh,
Exposed, maskless, jam-packed fucking concerts and mosh pits for washed-up rappers. Bow Wow.
imagine
Bow
being
Wow
on your.
sold out Houston. I heard it. I heard it was somebody else that was leading that show. Bow Wow just made an appearance.
Oh, it was somebody else. He wasn't the
Motherfuckers
headliner.
getting mad like it wasn't for Bow Wow. It was
Can we still pretend it's for Bow Wow? So we can
yeah, let's still
Yeah,
pretend it's for
say.
Bow Wow. Because the footage that was going across the internet was Bow Wow on the stage and
Yeah.
So
No, I like to maintain the concept of somebody being on a respirator. And the doctor's like, I need to just ask you some questions. Like, where did you first notice your symptoms? Like, like often, like, I went to a Bow Wow concert in Houston. Like, what? So that's what you voluntarily chose to do in the middle of when we hitting Case Records? You wanted to go to a fucking Bow Wow show?
Oh my god.
yeah, man.
Ridiculous.
It's just the like I don't know, man. And it's always Houston. It's always Houston. Like, yo, hey, the club packed in Houston tonight for so and so. Like anybody.
Because I mean,
Anybody.
I hate to paint with a broad brush, but I think the South has largely just said,
Yeah.
"Fuck it, I'm over COVID." Period. Because Atlanta is on some bullshit too.
Yeah. Well,
I
think
saw
that's just-
motherfuckers
that's
in
just the
Atlanta
vibe.
like late summer in the
Yeah.
popping, like packed ass clubs, the let outs packed as fuck. So I think it's the South, man, really as a whole. Like shit you just wouldn't dream of happening in like DC. They in Texas and in Georgia and Louisiana. It's like fuck it, we'll go out. Like good. I'm over it. So yeah, let's go hang out.
Bow Wow was barely relevant in Tokyo Drift, man. Like, how are you still going to be throwing packed concerts during a
Actually,
freaking pandemic?
Very underrated performance in Tokyo Drift.
It was really good. I liked it. Yeah, I agree.
I liked it.
Agree. I liked it.
They like it. They
All right.
really
So yeah. So Pat concerts, Bow Wow, Houston,
fucking
COVID.
Bow Wow. I'm telling you, nothing
Fucking-
makes. Sometimes when I feel bad for myself, I literally go on YouTube and find those Bow Wow videos where he's like pretending like there's
I
fans.
said,
chasing him
"Lil
after him.
Bow Wow, you just
I
don't know.
do it.
And you move so fast across the floor. I mean, you run through my mind like
What a
all
clown,
the time to the point that I just want to take.
Have you seen the video he made? Jamal's probably seen it.
Was
where
that?
he does this video where he's saying he's gonna go record with Lil Wayne.
Yeah, oh yeah. I see that.
He's like
That's
in the
funny.
studio and he's like playing dice with them and he's acting like him and Lil Wayne are working on this fucking massive like project together. Yo, it is one of the funniest fucking videos.
He also was on, I don't know what fucking show he's on. It's probably a VH1 show or something. Talking about he's going to do a new album and name each track after a different woman he's been in a
Yeah.
relationship with.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's a great
That's
idea. That's a great
Nobody's
idea.
nobody's checking for you. Bro.
You know, I called CJ Pearson, Jamal. You know CJ Pearson.
Of course.
Your adopted son. Yeah. I called him Bow Wow the other day on Twitter.
Did he block you?
No, he didn't block me. I've drifted on his timeline a few times.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
Man.
CJ Pearson, just yeah. I mean, I wanted to say again to my next detention candidate.
Yeah.
What's he look like?
Conservatives in general, quoting.
He's a conservative, this little fuck.
Yes,
You're
yes.
right. He blew up like
I've-
years ago. He was
I've made jokes about him getting his screen time cut off, his internet cut off, spanked, getting spanked because he's got. I think he's probably 19 or 20 at this point, but
yeah, but he blew up. He's
still
like
got a
12,
baby
13.
face. Yeah, he looks like yeah.
Yeah.
God.
But conservatives, stop fucking quoting Martin Luther King on MLK Day. You sound
Ivanka
stupid.
Trump, smart.
You know what? It's not even about Ivanka because I don't even consider her like a classic conservative. But I'm talking about like Kayleigh McEnany. I'm talking about Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
It always starts with the same fucking line. Now more than ever.
Yeah.
Now more than ever.
I wonder why.
MLK's words run through our veins, through our souls deeper than they ever have.
Do you ever get this
When
one?
he's-
Like every year, it's like, MLK would be a conservative. He would be a Republican today.
Yes,
Like he wouldn't
yes,
stand for this
I've
stuff. He
seen
wouldn't stand for
MLK
BLM.
I've seen
There's
an
no
MLK
way, no fucking way, man. He would be with us. Fuck
I've
you.
seen the Photoshop, and you know what? It's one thing about MLK. I think one of the most
Right.
one of the most underused quotes of his was where he's talking about picking yourself off your bootstraps when you don't got no boots to begin with,
Yeah.
right? And just talking about that, and just talking about the freedom of slaves, freedom to poverty, freedom to economic deprivation, all that shit.
Yeah.
And no one ever plays that video, that quote, because it runs so deep.
Mhm.
It tells the truth about just how things transpired from one phase to
What's
another.
bigger than that is like Martin Luther King, all these guys, when they were fucking alive, everybody hated them. Everybody
Hated
their
them.
guts.
Mhm.
These exact same people
Yeah.
that would have hated his fucking
Right.
guts. if
The
he was
exact
alive.
same people.
Right.
Like,
And
Precisely.
it's
like, come on.
the plausible deniability where you sit there and you say, well, Martin Luther King never protested violently. Well, you fucking shot his
Fucking
ass.
kitty.
You fucking capped his head off.
39 years old.
Anyways.
That's
Right.
insane.
So just stop it.
Just yeah.
I get it. The contrived bullshit. It's a forced holiday for half of y'all anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't
I
need y'all to
worked.
just so I worked. We'll leave it at that. We're trying to keep y'all motherfuckers out of detention, but
Make it too easy.
it's not working out, man.
No.
we're gonna wrap it up right there. That was a good show. A new era, new times. Hopefully, with this new administration, we'll probably take it a little more easier on conservatives. We'll see how the
Maybe.
future holds. Maybe.
Fingers crossed.
We'll call it a night. I am Abdullah, Neil, Paul, Zane, Joe Glow. Peace out.